rejected by nearly every school.
Could you read this?
It's impossible. I just see his words everywhere.
They don't want to solve the problem because they want to retain their power and control.
Hey guys, say we're talking about a student who was rejected from 16 universities only to be hired by Google as a software engineer. Now, universities claim to want the brightest minds, but then they reject someone with a near perfect SAT score, mind you. But one of the most competitive tech companies in the world hires him at 19? We have to discuss the reality of college admissions. Right now, one of these Ivy League universities probably just accepted someone because their college admissions essay was about how oppressed they are, right? How their mother didn't let them dye their hair when they were in 5th grade, and what that means for their gender identity. Because that's what matters nowadays, unfortunately, not your skills, not your intelligence, but whether or not you make the university look diverse. Writing an essay like that could have helped Stanley, or maybe he should have joined the RCTA community. Because once again, most colleges now are not looking for the best and brightest, they're looking for the right kind of oppressed.
Stanley Jong, a graduate of Palo Alto's Gunn High School, the kid who founded his own document signing startup and was first recruited by Google when he was only 13, when they discovered his code, got rejected by nearly every school, including state schools like Cal Poly and UC Davis.
For some of them, like Cal Poly, some of the state schools, I really thought, I had a good chance.
So his father has filed a new lawsuit on February 11th against the University of California and 5 UC campuses, UC Berkeley, UCLA, UCSD, UCSB, and UC Davis, as well as the U.S. Department of Education for racial discrimination. What we're trying to get out of this is fair treatment for future Asian applicants going forward, including my other kids and my future grandkids. And listen to this, Stanley had a 4.42 GPA from Gunn High School and 1590 out of 1600 on the SATs, a near perfect score. It seems that these rejections have nothing to do with his qualifications, but rather racial discrimination in college admissions.
His story was brought up in a Capitol Hill hearing. In addition to that, you created an app.
Came up with the idea for Rabbit Sign probably around the end of middle school. Fully became a company with incorporation and everything in my sophomore year.
He started picking up coding on his own around age 10.
We really want to push for transparency because there shouldn't really need to be a need for speculation. If we get rejected, be able to look at, these are the reasons why.
So again, I'm glad they're fighting back. These universities only really care about appearing diverse, right? Also legacy, whose parents donated the most, and then the students don't really have to worry about getting accepted. All of that is wrong. What happened in Harvard, for example, exposes quite well and how this disproportionately hurts Asian students. So of course, these colleges aren't supposed to have race-based admissions, but they try and find loopholes, ways to get around it. So they use the personal essays to hint at racial identity. And then they want to get students that perhaps aren't even qualified just so that they can look better. So they also quietly move away from SAT and GPA. And why? Because DEI is not about fairness. It's about putting race above intelligence, above hard work, and that is disgusting. Now in Stanley's case, it's the university's loss because Stanley gets to work at Google, but not every student has that opportunity. Colleges should admit students based on merit, not race, not oppression points, not because mommy or daddy went there. Instead, we see them lowering the bar to artificially create diversity.
The Jones allege that UC is engaging in racial discrimination in admissions despite the law banning the use of race in the process. Your lawsuit is the second one this month against UC over its admissions. The first one was by a group called Students Against Racial Discrimination, alleging diversity considerations are overshadowing academic merit and disadvantaging Asians and white students in the process.
UC, in connection with Department of Education, they're both using race for some federal grant programs, and we allege that is unconstitutional.
And speaking of Google, the company and many others are rolling back their DEI initiatives because they realize it does not work. Because turns out when you focus on race over talent, you don't end up with the best employees. These universities should take notes. Our education system is a disaster. I also want to take a look at this Connecticut student who graduated with honors but cannot read or write.
Did you ever think you'd be going to college here?
No, never. Never in a million years.
The 19-year-old began her freshman year at the University of Connecticut in Hartford this fall. She's excited to study public policy, the culmination of hard work after moving north from Puerto Rico as a child.
Even today, could you read this, or would it take you a long time?
It's impossible. I just see his words everywhere.
An illiterate honors student.
Alicia graduated from the Hartford public school system last year, but she says today she is illiterate. She still doesn't know how to read or write. When she was in early education,
They would just either tell me to stay in a corner and sleep, or just draw pictures, flowers for them.
And when she was in high school, she relied on speech-to-text programs and other apps to read and write essays. Now, Alicia is suing the Hartford Board of Education and the city for negligence.
So that's what happens when universities prioritize diversity quotas and graduation rates instead of actual education. They just pass these kids through the system even if they're not prepared, give them the diploma, and then pretend that they did their job. Or let's talk about Baltimore, spending all that money on education, and yet in 23 schools, not one person was proficient in math. Zero. At some point, we have to ask, where is this money going? Because it sure is not helping the students.
And 93% of 3rd through 8th graders tested below their grade level in the subject.
We're not able to get to the root cause of what's happening because the leadership here blames it on racism. We've had Democratic leadership for decades. People here in power look like me, and everything's blamed on racism.
Why does the left refuse to solve the problem at its core?
They don't want to because not solving the problem keeps them in power. We do have a charter school here in Baltimore, a charter school with over 90% success rate of graduating Black boys that the Baltimore City School Board wants to shut down. So they don't want to solve the problem because they want to retain their power and control. Enough is enough. Fight back and tell them, no, these are our children. They have meaning and they have a purpose, and you don't get to ruin their lives.
It's sad and it's disheartening because today, more than ever, the school system has the money and the resources.
And of course, people of color, particularly Black Americans, were discriminated against in college admissions in the past. However, modern race-based admissions are not the answer. They create a new form of discrimination in the process. The solution is not to replace one form of racism with another. We cannot lower standards for some and raise them for others. It shouldn't matter if you're Black, Asian, white, Hispanic, all students should be held to the same academic standards. That way, you know that you actually earned it when you get accepted. That way, you're actually prepared for high school, for college, for your job, for the real world. If we actually want to have the best doctors, the best engineers, the best leaders, a strong country, then we have to put competence over quotas. The goal of college admissions should be to select the most capable, hardworking students, not to artificially shape the student body to look a certain way. And that's all for today's video, guys. You let me know what you think in the comments below. Also remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.